the next Skoda Superb or Skoda Octavia will probably look like this, more like a American muscle car, like a estate form of a Dodge Challenger or Dodge Charger or something like that. Very exciting exterior and interior tour of the future of Skoda with Thomas and Autogefuehl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with this front that is reminding me a little bit of the recently presented Chinese Audi version, the E5, very interesting. But you can see there is a typical Skoda shape in the grille, in the outline, but they want to make it more modern with light integration right here. Supposed to be moving at a later stage as well. Illuminated Skoda lettering, not a Skoda badge. And this black outline to symbolize something of the combustion era, but yet again closed for the electric version, because this is also an outlook of the next electric estate. And very interesting details already in the front. I mean, it's really bold design, monolithic design basically. And then you can see here, these are some gaps where the air is coming out. So it comes in the front and it's coming out here and supposed to help, or, well, there are actually no wipers here for this concept, but this is here actually to blow air also over the windscreen. And this will help also when you are driving in rain. So will blow the rain off the windshield. You will still have classic wipers, of course, so don't have to be afraid of that. Then here the length, this becomes very interesting, is 4.85 meters or 191 inches. That is between Octavia and Superb, but it's a little bit more towards the Superb. So my estimation is that when they move their Combi, their estate to the electric age, it will somewhat merge Superb and Octavia. Also makes sense cost-wise, but that also means that the Octavia will be somewhat elevated, yet at the same time you see the bold design is kind of needed, that Superb customers are still satisfied and also symbolize some status with their vehicle. And you can see it here once again with this really bold design. Not many design lines, and you don't have like black accentuations. It's really more about the bodywork itself. 21-inch wheels here for this very vehicle. Of course, later on there will be different wheel sizes available. And the aerodynamics, once again, very important to have a good CD value for this electric estate. And I think it looks quite stunning, and it's not too far from reality. Sometimes we see concept vehicles that are very, very far from a serious production. They're maybe too drastic, too dramatic, but I think this vehicle here, both front and rear, but also from the side profile, works that it could be quite real. Here a lot of glass use. The whole car also reminds me of the recent BMW design, which also go in, you know, simple glass areas and then a lot of wide areas from the bodywork, not too many design lines and so on. So we see a simplification of the design language. Again, something we've recently also seen at Audi, that they go back to a more simple design language, which at the same time is more timeless. And here the lettering once again in a red illumination, pretty cool, with a modern light signature right here. And then we have this somewhat diffuser style. Once again, design elements taken from the combustion age, but transported into the electric age. Vision O, by the way, the O is for the circularity, because they use a lot of circular materials with this vehicle. For example, also that you plan a car, maybe like for a different lifespan and so on, but then later on, when the car will be recycled at some point, that you already plan the materials, both exterior and interior, that they can be recycled in an easier way later on, for example, using mono materials. And this is a very interesting aspect, going even further in the sustainability aspect of the vehicle. But I think the most aspect here for the exterior, the interior will come very soon, is that it looks really bold and striking from the exterior. It can combine both Superb and Octavia in one. And I think that both customers would be somewhat happy with that. And what can we say about the technical facts? This vehicle here will be using a completely new platform in the Volkswagen Group, a platform that will also house 100 kilowatt hours plus batteries. That is a very important thing, of course. So on the one hand, this will also be a range EV. On the other hand, it's also conceivable that they do not only do a platform with electric only, but a platform that will also house combustion engines as well. So more, going this dual way. Exact figures and details are not out yet, but this is like a first outlook, and will also present you soon more other concept vehicles from the Volkswagen Corporation that will also present different concepts. Now we can open the electric hatch. We also have some help here from Jakob from Skoda, who's keeping us the trunk open. And then we see here, this is my suitcase, easily fits in. Then we have a meter or 40-inch in length and also approximately in width. Interesting design details here. 650 liters, that is. And of course, you will be able to fold the seats then later on. And the thing is that the size here of 650 liters, that is a little bit closer to the Octavia than the Superb. Here you will have storage for the charging cables, for example, also indicated right here. And of course, as soon as this car is more final, we'll give you another insight. And now to the interior of the next Superb or Octavia. So many interesting details to cover right here. And once again, some elements are maybe a little bit far, but a lot of elements are very, very close to the next Skodas in production. And once again, why is it so important? It's not only showing the future for these models, but for all next Skoda vehicles. That's the crucial aspect indeed. And this one here, 2030-ish or something, but other models will probably come earlier and then also take some of these ideas. That's the key element. Let's start at the inside of the doors. Here they use a new kind of microfiber, and this is 65% plant share, and it also has, in this case here, like a shiny effect, and it's maybe like a mix of microfiber and not exactly this Neotex neoprene approach, something different. It has like a paper-ish visual touch to it. It's very interesting. These will be cup holders where you can just press and then they come out. Interesting fabric use, and then also indirect ambient lighting here. Here there will be still real buttons, for example, for the window levers. That's interesting. And when we move to the rear doors, which will not be a suicide door, but a real proper door, here once again, this nice fabric being used. We don't see black plastic or something, or high gloss black. Here as well, the nice ambient lighting, more cup holders. And all the elements where you can see these here, this is just the indication for this hand-built car here. This is where you can actually pull out things. There's also a concept that, hey, there's a light, and then you can pull out and use it as a torch. And there will be more elements like here in the middle console. You can see here, there's like a speaker, like a Bluetooth speaker, and you will be able to just put this speaker out and then, nice. Maybe use it for a picnic session or something like that. It's pretty interesting. Oh, by the way, here also dual lamination for the windows, that it is also silent on the motorway at high speeds. Then this new steering wheel also has this new plant-based microfiber share. A very interesting shape, combining like a modern look, but at the same time not too complicated. And oh, real buttons with clicking sounds here on the steering wheel. That's cool. The return of real buttons for more and more brands. Once again, that's a cool thing. You can already see this panoramic windshield. You know, the new BMW iX3 panoramic vision. And like the Chinese manufacturer, like Xiaomi, is using it. With BMW, it was like a monitor like this, and then it was reflecting into the windshield. In this case, it is a real monitor. We also saw it, for example, with the Neo ET9. The real monitor that goes through like over a meter or over 40 inches in width. Looks pretty impressive, definitely. We have to see about that later on. Also, be new seats, and a lot of the times concept cars have very uncomfortable seats, but this one, I can already tell you so far, is comfortable. It has a special fabric that has this open surface that it will be very airy to sit in, like from the ventilation, from the passive ventilation. Then on the side, once again, this plant-based microfiber share. And here, these are 3D printed head restraints, so to use less material at the same time.
Like a spider net.
It looks like a spider net, yes, indeed. We have to see about that later on, and of course also take a seat on the back seat. And the cockpit will also be very interesting with the infotainment system and so on. So there we go. At the moment, I would say the car is a little bit low, like a low rider maybe. So here there's not too much headroom left. By the way, if you hear this fan blowing here, I try to use some audio filters that you don't hear it too much. This is the cooling for this vehicle here when it stands here in the studio all the time. But the seats themselves, they're actually pretty cool. And this fabric here, it is on the one hand a little bit, let's say rugged enough for the car use. At the same time, it's comfortable, adapts to the body, and also is good in the passive ventilation. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. You will also have these turning jogs here at the steering wheel. So once again, your prayers and my prayers have been heard. Look at these are great clicking sounds. I love that. So we could manage for you to bring back real buttons to more and more brands again, that not everything is actually in the screen, but more screen details to this one here very soon. Let's quickly move to the, the steering wheel is not a good position for my long legs, definitely. Yeah, you can have fun at my expense. That's why I'm here, to give you information and fun. So then let's get to the rear seats here. And you can see I have a lot of space here. As for the legroom, it's also a long vehicle. It will be like an attachment for an iPad and so on. And you have the same fabric use here on the seats. It's pretty cool. And it is more like a living room area here, so pretty cozy. Maybe Leah can join me here as well. That's actually pretty cool. Also like this even floor. It has this living room concept, definitely. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Leah, for noticing that. This, you cannot open it yet, but this will be a fridge. So Skoda is also planning for fridges in not witches and fridges, in the vehicle. And yeah, good placement, and you can have some cold drinks when you are on the journey and so on. And this is indeed really cozy here. But from here, I can even take a better look at the cockpit perspective. So I would suggest that I take a front seat again and can go through all of the infotainment functions, and that maybe Leah comes here in the rear to get some filming on the cockpit perspective. So starting here, this is actually inductive charging pads, left and right, and you also have more functionality in the new Skoda app. Then some control elements right here. This will be for the climate unit, that you can also use the climate unit plus and minus temperature, and here for the fan speed. And then here, this is a control knob for the top panoramic windscreen, zoom more to that. And then the infotainment system here, very interesting concept. You can zoom out to this scale, then you can even see the weather, and then you can zoom in bit by bit. Here this navigation, then even closer with assistance systems view, even closer, then you can control something for the vehicle, even closer than you are with the interior functions. That's a very intuitive thought behind it, and you can zoom out again until you reach the weather. So it's a very cool thing, I feel. The temperature can be controlled also in the screen, so that would be possible, but yeah, I would definitely prefer this solution, and I'm glad that we have this solution then here still. And then about this knob here, you can see here this panoramic monitor in the front, and then I can actually use this scroll wheel to have baby cam. That doesn't look like Leah in the rear. So yeah, you can scroll different functions through there. There will be some animations for the range and so on. So interesting aspect, then you have more stuff in your line of sight. And Leah found out something cool. This is not only like for tablets or something, you can also use it with smartphones, and it's with a magnet that it holds the phone and also charges it at the same time. Inductive charging, that's cool. So for the comments, I'm especially calling out the Octavia and the Superb customers. We have so many of them on our channel. What do you think about this vehicle? I would really like to know that you maybe write like, hey, I own an Octavia and I think this about it, and I own a Superb and I think this about it. So I'm really looking forward to if there is a difference between the Octavia and the Superb customers, what you think about this vehicle. And of course, everyone else, welcome to join the comments about this very vehicle. Would you like this one to be the next Superb or Octavia estate? And do you like this very bold design language for this segment? After all, the Combi, especially for example in Germany, is bought for the flexibility, for the family, for carrying things. And people also like that they can combine, let's say, family life, but at the same time don't drive a boring car. but have something special and something fun. That's why also the VRS models of Skoda are also very popular, and we have a lot of them right here.